Have you ever been completely sure about something, only to find out you were totally wrong? Maybe you remember a conversation that never happened. Or you're certain you saw someone do something, but it turns out they weren't even there. What if I told you this isn't just forgetfulness or confusion? It's your brain lying to you, and it's doing it all the time. Every single day, your mind is playing tricks, subtle ones. Ones that shape your thoughts, influence your choices, and even rewrite your memories without your permission. The scariest part? You have no idea it's happening. Your brain is a master illusionist, flipping switches behind the scenes, rerouting reality through filters, biases, and shortcuts. You believe you're making conscious decisions, but often you're not. In this video, we're diving into the psychological tricks your brain uses to control you, from invisible biases to memory distortion and dopamine manipulation. These aren't just quirks, they're survival mechanisms baked into your neural wiring. But when you understand them, you can start to break free. So let me ask you, are you really in control? Or just riding along, blindfolded? Imagine this, you're walking through the grocery store. You pick up a specific brand of cereal without thinking. You scroll through social media and suddenly stop at a post without knowing why. You make a snap judgment about a stranger you've never met. All of that feels automatic. But here's the truth. Those little decisions are being made before you're even aware of them. According to neuroscientist Benjamin Libet's famous experiments, your brain starts making decisions up to 7 seconds before you consciously realize it. Let that sink in. By the time you think you're making a choice, your brain has already decided. Your consciousness is just catching up, creating a story that makes you feel in control. It's what psychologists call post hoc rationalization. Your mind invents reasons for actions that were already decided in your subconscious. In other words, you're not driving the car, you're just narrating the road trip. And this isn't a glitch. It's part of how your brain processes vast amounts of data efficiently, filtering, prioritizing, and making snap decisions to keep you moving. But if you're not aware of this invisible puppeteer, your entire sense of autonomy might just be an illusion. Every day, your brain is bombarded with 11 million bits of information per second. But your conscious mind can only process around 50. So how do we function? The brain cheats. It uses shortcuts, known as cognitive biases, to simplify decisions. And while these mental hacks help us survive, they also distort reality in ways you probably don't notice. Let's break down a few of the most powerful ones. Confirmation bias. You seek out information that confirms what you already believe and ignore what doesn't. This is why arguments on the internet go nowhere. Anchoring bias. The first piece of information you hear sets the tone for everything else. Marketers use this all the time. Show you an overpriced item first so the next one feels like a bargain. Availability heuristic. You judge the likelihood of something based on how easily you can recall an example. Hear about a plane crash? Suddenly flying feels unsafe, even though it's statistically safer than driving. These shortcuts evolved to help us act quickly in dangerous environments. But in the modern world, they're easily hijacked by advertisers, algorithms, and even our own habits. Your brain is making fast, flawed judgments every second. And the scariest part? You trust them completely. Once you begin to recognize these biases, you can start to question your snap reactions and take back control of your choices. You remember your first kiss, right? The way the room smelled, the song playing in the background, the exact words they said. Except there's a good chance none of it happened the way you remember. Memory, contrary to popular belief, isn't a recording. It's a reconstruction. And every time you remember something, your brain rewrites it. Let that sink in. Remembering distorts the memory. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus demonstrated this in landmark studies. She implanted entirely false memories into people's minds, like being lost in a mall as a child, and the participants swore it happened. Not only did they believe it, they felt it. This is called memory distortion, and it happens more often than you think. Your brain fills in the gaps with logic, emotion, and suggestion. Why? Because your brain prioritizes coherence over accuracy. It wants your life story to make sense, even if it means editing the truth. So what's the danger? When your brain rewrites the past, it changes how you feel about yourself in the present. You might carry guilt for something that didn't happen the way you think, or build confidence from an achievement that's been exaggerated in your mind. It's not just a glitch. False memories serve a purpose. They give your identity stability, even when reality is shaky. But the question is, whose version of the past are you really living in? You unlock your phone, just for a second. 30 minutes later, you're still scrolling. It wasn't planned. It never is. But your brain is very much on board. That's dopamine at work. Not the pleasure chemical like many believe, but the anticipation chemical. Dopamine is released not when you get the reward, but when you think you're about to. It's the maybe that hooks you. Psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered this in his experiments with lab rats. When rewards were random, like a pellet dropping after a button press, the rats pressed more often, not less. Sound familiar? That's exactly how social media, slot machines, and even email notifications are designed. Each ping, each swipe, each scroll promises a maybe. Maybe you'll get a like. Maybe you'll see something exciting. Maybe this next video will be the one. And your brain loves the chase. Dopamine fuels habit loops, cue, routine, reward. Over time, these loops become automatic. You don't choose to keep scrolling. Your brain decided before you knew it. It's not just your attention that's being controlled. It's your impulse system, your time, and ultimately your sense of agency. But here's the good news. Once you see the loop, you can start to break it. Because understanding dopamine isn't just neuroscience. It's freedom. You think you know yourself, but your brain is constantly editing the truth to protect you from yourself. This is self-deception, and it's not a flaw. It's a feature. We lie to ourselves every day. I'm not that tired. I could quit anytime. This relationship is fine. It's not my fault. But these aren't just innocent slips of denial. They're psychological defenses built to maintain your self-image, even when reality threatens to tear it down. According to cognitive dissonance theory, when your actions clash with your beliefs, your brain scrambles to resolve the tension. Not by changing the behavior, but by rewriting the belief. This is why we justify bad habits, why we stay in toxic environments, why we downplay regret. Your brain wants to keep you stable emotionally and psychologically, even if it means bending the truth. Research by psychologist Robert Trivers suggests that self-deception actually evolved to help us deceive others more effectively. If you believe the lie, you're better at convincing everyone else. Twisted? Absolutely. But it's a survival strategy. The danger? You get so good at lying to yourself, you stop seeing the lie. Awareness is the antidote. The moment you notice the pattern, you loosen its grip. Because sometimes the truth doesn't hurt nearly as much as the cage you built to avoid it. So now you know your brain filters reality, rewrites memory, distorts judgment, and edits the truth. Sounds hopeless, right? But here's the twist. The very thing that makes your brain manipulative is also what makes it adaptable. Neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself, means you're not locked in. You can change your patterns. You can expose the hidden scripts. And yes, you can outsmart your own brain. Start by questioning automatic thoughts. Notice when something feels obvious or certain. That's often a bias in disguise. Pause before reacting. Reflect on your motivations. Journaling, mindfulness, even therapy. These aren't soft skills, they're rewiring tools. And the goal isn't perfect logic. It's conscious awareness. Because the truth is, you'll never stop your brain from taking shortcuts. But you can stop letting it drive your life on autopilot. Awareness creates space. Space creates choice. And choice is freedom. You don't have to be perfect. Just curious. Just present. Just awake. You were never meant to be a passive passenger in your own mind. Your brain is built to protect you, not to always tell you the truth. But when you learn to spot its cognitive tricks, biases, memory edits, dopamine loops, you begin to reclaim your agency. You become less manipulated and more mindful. If you found this eye-opening, imagine what else your brain is hiding. Subscribe for more psychology-backed content that helps you understand your mind and master it.